Goes family, welcome back to Larry's Anything Goes. Hope you guys having a great and exceptional day. Another beautiful day to be alive. It's a nice Saturday. It's weather's decent, it's quiet, so it's all good in the neighborhood. All right, so today's topic is talking about why most women in today's world settle with nerds. Now, a lot of people might take this the wrong way, thinking I'm trying to be a jerk and things of that nature, and that is far from the truth. Okay, far from the truth. I don't have a problem with people who consider themselves nerds. I remember talking to somebody that I used to work with, and he was like, dude, nerds are cool nowadays. And I'm just like, there's nothing wrong with that. I've never had an issue with being with the nerds or anybody to that effect. But I will say that there's the assertive nerd, like Elon Musk and Mark Zuckerberg, they're the ones that are rich, and so they have economic power. So that therefore that economic power gives them more assertiveness because they can write checks. They don't have to try to knock anybody out. They can just write checks. All right. But I guarantee they were the quietest people in the classroom when they were back in school, because they were probably the ones that would get the crap kicked out of them. And I'm not saying all nerds are soft and things of that nature, and I'm not advocating for any violence whatsoever. But what I'm saying is, so I just gave you the quote unquote more of the assertive quote unquote nerd, who's into comic books and superheroes and video games, and who's really smart when it comes to technology and innovation and things of that nature. And then there's the other nerd, and this is who I'm really talking about today. The other nerd who is a simp. Basically, when I say simp, means jump whenever his female current or future girlfriend or wife decides to be in a relationship with them. They jump whenever they say jump, and they pander to every single aspect of their significant other's life. Now, a lot of times in the beginning, the quote-unquote dime pieces, the good-looking women, will ignore these kind of guys or use and abuse these kind of guys. Not some, but not all. Remember, I'm not making any generalities. It's not everybody's not the same. Everybody doesn't move in unison, but there are certain instances, and that's what I'm talking about. Certain instances, certain examples. So before anybody wants to take what I'm saying out of context, let's let that be known. But and the main reason why if you see the character of from one of the greatest shows that I loved forever, Big Bang Theory, Leonard Hofstadter and Sheldon Cooper. Now, it was a great show. Didn't know what the show was about. I'll give you a quick one-on-one aspects what the Big Bang Theory was about. It embraced, and it's funny, like a person I used to be cool with, who was a nerd, hated the Big Bang Theory because he's like, this show's trying to make nerds look cool, and I don't like it. And this is coming from a nerd. This gentleman said that, and I was like, well, the show's entertaining to me. So I'm from the DMV area where people like to overanalyze everything. I mean, people like to overanalyze going to the restroom. So I just get to the point where I'm just like, well, it is what it is. Life goes on. I like the show. The main characters on the show were Leonard, Sheldon, Penny, Howard, Rajesh, Kutapalli, then later Bernadette, and Amy Farrah Fowler. Main characters on the show. Other characters came later, but these were the main characters on the show. When the show first started off, the men on the show were all single. Howard, Leonard, Sheldon, and Rajesh. They were all single. And all I can say is that yes, they joined the group, and they were all single when the show first started off. And I remember when looking at the show is that the moment that Leonard saw Penny, who later on the show became his wife, the moment Leonard saw Penny, he was infatuated with her. But his track record, scientist at Caltech University, and Caltech University, and he was clearly a lot of these nerds, and most of the nerds was considered to be socially awkward people. nothing wrong with that. I was considered to be very socially awkward when I was younger, because I really used to care what people thought. That's where I can't explain what other people when they're socially awkward where it comes from, but I can explain for me, it came from me always worrying and caring about what other people thought about me, trying to please people. And then I got to the age where I'm just like, you know what, the heck with everybody else. I'm going to be respectful to everybody, but at the end of the day, I have to be me. I'm Larry Patterson Jr. I got to be me, and I got to be the best version of me, of who I can be. There's no other than me, just like there's no other version of you, and always be proud of who you are, period. As long as you're not a psychopathic killer and a rapist and a molester and things of that nature. But if you're a regular good person and you're making moves in this life and you do good for others as you try to do good for yourself, then hey, you're all right in my book. That's why I said I'm not downplaying the nerves. It's just a specific subject matter that I am talking about, okay? So anyways, back to the regularly scheduled program. And, hey, when men are infatuated with women, they will go beyond the call of duty to try to do things to catch the women attention. Same thing with women, with men and whatnot. Well, not where I'm from, because, that's another story. But in certain instances, a lot of women, if they're interested in a man, they're just straight up with it and let them know, hey, I'm interested. They don't play the mind games and get to it. Give it to them, give it to people straight with no chaser. Subliminal messages are for children. Grown folks talk grown folks business and get straight to the point. That's my personal opinion. And I leave it at that. But anyways, long story short, he was absolutely smitten with her. And when he finally was able to have enough guts to ask Penny out, the character Penny, Leonard, he did his best. He didn't. He had a socially awkward moments to where he hurt himself. And I remember, can't believe this is how much I used to watch the show. I remember he dropped something on the floor, and then he hit his head. And the next thing you know, his head started bleeding. So he had to go to the emergency room. But the purpose, they would go back and forth between dating and being friends. And then when they actually got back together, the crux of the relationship, I remember Penny even saying to the character Leonard, hey, Leonard, I'm used to you being the one in this relationship that just jumps whenever I say jumps, and you being totally smitten with me and willing to do whatever I want and say. And that was the crux of the beginning of the relationship. It's the same thing with Sheldon. It's like and before I even go further with these characters, the main purpose of this rant today is that a lot of women who didn't go for the Sheldon Coopers and the Leonard Hofstetters and the dorky, geeky, nerdy guys who don't make a lot of money but make a decent living is because they didn't have a lot in common with these men. One. Two, they didn't find them physically attractive. But it's like, but a lot of times when people get older, their perspectives change and they're like, hey, nobody, and then certain women will have a bad attitude, and then they're like, hey, this is who I am. You don't like it, there's the door. So a guy that has options, which unlike Rajesh Kutapalli, I'm just using these characters, but the nerdy guys that aren't rich usually don't have that many options. Life is, I always say, my favorite two words is about options and leverage. If you have options and leverage and you can able to maneuver in a different manner, and you're able to somewhat try to set up your life the way you want to set up your life and not let life set you up. It's like if you work for somebody, you may have options, you may have leverage, but there's no guarantees that you're going to have that at all. But if you do, how are you going to be able to utilize it? That is the question. So that's just how I look at it. That is the question. But either way, when you don't have options and you don't have leverage, and certain things can transpire to the point where you're like, well, or I'm running out of options. So it's like, you know what? I need to settle. Even though I was at a point where I thought I could have it all and I thought I could refuse to settle. Now I'm at a point where I have to settle. People I grew up with, names will remain nameless. But one of the gentlemen, he was very socially awkward. Very socially awkward. But he was not only socially awkward and somewhat in the nerd category, but he didn't have any, but from a look standpoint, a lot of females did not find him attractive. So he ended up settling with a person who I think is crazy as hell, and had children with this individual, got married to this individual. And in a sense, living their best life, but in a sense, miserable as hell. So that's why I said it's like it kind of goes both ways. But it is what it is, unfortunately. But with that being said, it's just like now that I'm older and I have a better level of understanding and have some more life experience, now I see why a lot, that individual woman got with that specific man, because she knew she was getting older and she was running out of options when it came to the kind of men. The men that she was really attracted to was the men that she, because she had such a stank attitude, the men that she was really attracted to was not going to put up with her nonsense, especially with her. I like to call her like a spoiled 11-year-old, 12-year-old brat personality. That the good-looking guys that have something something going on in their lives. Men with options. We're like, you know what? I'm good. I'm gonna go to the next one. So she decided to finally lock down a man who did not have options, who she knows that she could control and be the dominant one in the relationship. I'm not the socially awkward nerd. I'm not mad at that. But what I'm saying is, I use their relationship and their marriage to be like, okay, this is why a lot of women, some but not all, will continuously settle for the nerds nowadays, because they know they got to get with the guy who does not have options. Men and women with options have one thing in common. They can negotiate the terms of the relationship in a, let's just say, a reasonable manner. Everything is transactional in the United States of America, whether you like it or not, regardless who's in the White House, governor's house, or mayor's house. It's all about what you're doing economically in your house. And when a man and a woman have some options, they're able to come to the table, because, like dumb Steve Harvey, and I'm going to call him dumb. He always says, well, don't go to the woman saying what you bring to the table. He's like, it's all about what you bring to the table and nothing else. I said, yeah, says the guy that's been married 4 or 5 times. Yeah, I'm gonna really take that. And the guy who's in a different tax bracket than most men. Yeah, nobody's listening to you on that aspect. Working people, especially as expensive as things are in today's world, okay, working people have to make strategic decisions in regards to who they're going to be with. And it has to be from a practical, mental perspective, meaning I need to ensure that this person's safe to be around, and I'm going to have a great life with this person. But then from an economic standpoint, what does this person bring to the table? Is this person going to be a forever bill in my life? Because I don't need a forever bill in my life. Is this person going to bring some great information to the table? Because I'm going to bring some great information, some great skill to the table. Because I'm going to bring some great skills to the table. All these things matter with their honey-do list and whatnot. And are we on the same page of the kind of lifestyle that we want to live together? Do we understand the power dynamics of this relationship? Because definitely not going to be all you, but it can't be all me either. The power dynamics have to become at different levels and different aspects in various different ways. And the negotiations of that contract have to be thought out differently for every single relationship and marriage, etc., and so forth. But the point I'm making at the end of the day is that a lot of women, as they get older, will settle for the nerdy women, the nerdy guy that's going to jump when they say jump. And the thing is, I'm not picking on women. I'm not picking on guys. I'm not trying to pick on the nerds. Don't mistake what I'm saying to come from that kind of place, that kind of negativity, because I'm not trying to be Mr. Negativity. I'm just being Mr. Realistic. Because, heck, I might, when I get back from my trip, I might do a broadcast about why men are going to settle for dusty women. Because there's a class of men who, as they get older, the women, the options that they have become less and lesser because of where their life is at, from a looks perspective, from a health perspective, and from an economic perspective. That's just what it is. And back to the Big Bang Theory, another character, because I got into Leonard, and I'm going to get back to Sheldon Cooper, because they even made another show off of this character, young Sheldon. And Sheldon Cooper never actually got into an actual relationship with a female until he was actually a grown man in his 30s. Because he was so infatuated with science and mythical stories, aka comic books and video games. He was so infatuated with that he did not have time to try to be infatuated with being attracted to a woman. And another thing to take into consideration is this. Another thing to take into consideration is that he got the woman that he ended up getting with was Amy Farrah Fowler. And she was another scientist. So obviously they had that in common. The friendship that they had and the one thing I'll give that relationship credit is they had a friendship bond first, and it was based purely off of intellectual conversations and stimulating their intellectual curiosity and things of that nature. Both snooty, both arrogant, but that's where, and that's just, when you get around a lot of academics, that's just how they are. Like I could never imagine working in academia. Probably one of the most snooty, arrogant, pompous, and judgmental spaces to work on this planet is academia. Universities and things of that nature. I mean, heck, 90% of the professors at my colleges I couldn't even stand, if I'm just be realistic and honest about it. So, but yeah, so they formed a strong friendship, and of course, Amy wanted more. She's like, got to the point where she's like, "Hey, I'm tired of being single. I'd actually would like to be in a relationship with you, Sheldon." And he's like, "Well, our relationship is based off of pure intellectualism. I don't see us getting into that kind of relationship." So then she started to date other people, and eventually Sheldon caved and said, "Okay, I will be in a relationship with you. I actually find you attractive on that aspects," and it worked out. But then she would get so mad and upset and flustered to the point where she's like, "How come we never kissed? We've never had," as they call it, coitus, which is basically having sexual relations, and he just never wanted to. Until one time, it was funny. One time he was trying to get her pregnant because he figured they'd have the most perfect kids, and because they were both so intelligent and things of that nature. But and then because it got to the point where she was just angry and upset that he would not, have any romantic dealings with her, because he's based, his love for her was based purely off of intellect and not much else. And eventually they got married, and eventually they had kids and things of that nature. But it took him a long time for Sheldon to get to that point. And one thing that both Sheldon and Amy's character, so this is not me just picking on the women, neither side had options, suitable options. I'll say that they had options, but it didn't have because I remember Sheldon's character had other females that were kind of interested in him, but he only, he wasn't really interested in them. And same thing with Amy, but not many. But like I said, for the most part, they didn't have suitable options compared to them getting together. All right, then we move on to Howard and Bernadette. Now, Bernadette, probably the finest character on the show, my personal opinion. It's her and Penny, as far as females go. And Bernadette was worked for a pharmaceutical corporation. I believe she was a scientist as well, but she actually made money in the private sector, because all the men on the show, they worked at Caltech University, so they were, scientists working at a university. Anyways, Bernadette's character, she had a multitude of options. Now, she ended up being with Howard, but it made sense because Bernadette had a little bit of because she had a father who was a cop, she had a little bit more masculine tendencies. So she ended up, she had way more options than Howard did, because Howard was just a straight up dorky nerd engineer, straight up, Star Wars apparel all over the place. And remember, I'm not knocking people that's into this stuff. If you come in my room, you're going to see the pride of being a Black American and stuff, motivational quotes and investments in business and things of that nature. So we all have our quirks at the end of the day. Trust and believe that. We all have our quirks and things of that nature. But Howard was still living at home with his mom as well when he got with Bernadette. So yeah, it's definitely, he did not have many options. compared to Bernadette. But Bernadette wore the pants in the family. I mean, in that relationship from the beginning until the end of the show. And I see a lot of, I can't even tell you how many beta males I see, especially in today's world, that simp for their significant others. But I don't knock it because I'm like, hey, that's your relationship. Couldn't be me. And I leave it at that. I'm real simple when I talk about that. It's like, couldn't be me, but hey, that's not my life and it's not my journey. So I'm not going to lose much sleep over that, on some realness. But anyways, at the end of the day, it's like that is definitely a lot of men. I mean, I used to work with a guy who, as a couple, they were financially struggling. He wouldn't, his wife would not help out financially. She wore the pants. This is the first time I've seen a woman call a man at his job several times and get cussed out, basically. And I couldn't stop laughing because he forgot to do something, something I knew, like take the garbage out, things of that nature. And I never forget hearing him say, "I'm sorry. I'll never do it again, dear. Yes, dear. Anything you say, dear." Now, like, it's just like, it just made me laugh. I couldn't stop laughing. It was the funniest thing on the planet. The beta male syndrome is real. The simp sector is real. And it's like, well, Larry, you being too hard on guys. It's cheaper to keep them. When it comes to relationships, you don't want to be that person to make your significant other mad. I'm like, look, man, there's already enough things I got to live in fear of in this life, of dying, losing my job, losing my business, losing my YouTube channel. If I got to always be in fear of my significant other, then I might as well be single. And I just got to keep it real on that. Okay? I have to just keep it real, dude. Life is too short. That is just unhealthy environment to be a part of, especially your home is supposed to be your place of peace. I don't care what size your home is. It could be your car, a trailer, apartment, house, mansion, whatever the case may be. Your place, the place that you live at, that you pay bills, is supposed to be a place of peace. And if anybody tells you different, they are smoking crack. They're doing meth. I don't know what their marijuana is laced. I don't know. They drank too much alcohol. All the above. I don't know. But I don't buy the myth of that nonsense. Okay? I don't buy it. But that's just me. Okay? And I gotta keep it real when I say that. Got to keep it real. Can't be more blatant than that. It's like, that's why a lot of people are single, because, and this is men and women, funky attitudes. Okay? Funky attitudes, stank attitudes, always whining and complaining about something, always stressing out about something. What kind of lifestyle is that, man? I don't care what your income bracket is. Like, if that's what, every day I'm cracking jokes. The older I get, the more I want to laugh. Every day I'm going to crack jokes. Every day I'm going to find a reason to smile. And if you're not that reason, I don't need you around me. If you're that reason that stresses me out and makes my life worse. And I think I'm talking to the practical men, sensible, practical men and women in this life. Okay? If you got people around you that are constantly stressing you the hell out, then what the hell are you doing around? You better be making some money if that is the case. That's all I got to say. You better be making some money dealing with that crap. Now, if you're at work, that makes more sense to me. That's more of a practical approach. But if anybody's in your house is making your life harder, you need to get them out of your house, or you need to leave that house. Period. That's why people settle with people who don't have options, because then they know, for the most part, they're going to jump whenever they say jump. Okay? Straight up and down. Straight up and down. Okay, but anyways, so let's get to the next last male character of the show, and that was Rajesh Kutterpally on The Big Bang Theory. And like I said, I'm just using these characters from a real life perspective. But anyway, so Rajesh was probably the most socially awkward out of the whole crew. Why? Because in the beginnings of the show, of The Big Bang Theory, he was so socially awkward that he could not talk around pretty women. Really just women in general. And he would have to like text or write or things of that nature. But he was so socially awkward that Siri and Alexa became his best friend when it came to females. And that's how, between that and his love for his dog and whatnot, which the dog's name was Cinnamon, but I'm a dog lover, but this guy took it to a whole nother level. And then it got to the point where he could only get up enough courage to talk to females when he was drinking alcohol, which is sad. But then he became the biggest douchebag because, he got that, this is my buddy Adrian McCall, liquid courage. He would get that liquid courage going on, and that was the only way he could talk to females. And then he finally got to a point where I remember it was so bad that it finally got to a point where he could actually talk to a female without having to use alcohol. But then, of course, once he got enough strength to be able to talk to a female, he would still become so clingy. He was still socially awkward, but he would become so clingy to the point where he could not. He would smother the females, but they would just run away from him. Because I remember one episode, all of his ex-girlfriends, he basically kind of gathered them up, and they had a conversation at a coffee shop or a cheesecake factory, and he was just like, "Hey, what went wrong in this relationship? Because I'm trying to figure out how I can become a better man in the next relationship with a female." And there's like, "Hey, you were too clingy. You went overboard. You were never assertive enough to just take charge when it comes to certain things." And I think that's a lot of, in today's world, I can understand that. It's unfortunately because a lot of men are scared to be assertive when it comes to dealing with women because, hey, we live in a world now. I mean, look at Jonathan Majors. We live in a world nowadays where if you look at a woman wrong, you can go to jail. So, I mean, heck, this guy, Jonathan Majors' career, which I heard he just, him and Megan finally broke up. I forgot her last name, but it doesn't matter. But you know what I'm talking about. But it's so bad to the point where, I mean, the guy wanted to get his phone back, got his phone back. I know this is like, I think 2 years ago now. Maybe it was early last year. But yeah, and this was in New York, got his phone back. Now, Jonathan Majors is a big buff dude. And the woman he was dating was really tiny and short. Got his phone back and ran for like 7 to 8 blocks in New York City away from the woman because he wasn't trying to hurt her. And I think I forgot what the specific charge was, but it was like very minor assault to where he's on probation now. I believe he didn't go to jail. He had to pay a fine, and he had an assault charge, I believe. But then it's like I said, to the point where it ruined his movie career. I can't remember the last thing he's been in now. I think Marvel's, got rid of him. So men are in a world where, and I'm all for, women's rights and women having protections because, we can overpower you physically in most instances. But we live in a world where if you look at a woman wrong, you can go to jail. You could say something wrong, you can go to jail. I mean, when Cuba Gooding Jr. had his situation, he went to jail for hitting on a woman at a bar. So that's why I'm just like, I don't even know why in today's world anybody would even try to hit on anybody at a bar, a restaurant, or a nightclub scene. Because I'm just like, look, you got social media. If you really want to hit on somebody, go on social media, get those text messages going, get that FaceTime going. If there's some real interest, go from there. Don't try to holler at nobody in public. It's just creepy. It's even creepier nowadays anyways, because everybody's more in love with their technology. But anyways, so at the end of the day, Rajesh finally settled down with a woman. It was, but it's because his character was of Indian descent, and it's traditional in a lot of cultures to this day to have arranged marriages. And Rajesh finally settled down with a woman where he had an arranged marriage, where both his families agreed upon their marriage, and he finally was able to marry a beautiful woman, beautiful, intelligent woman. But the funny thing is, thinking about it now, Rajesh, Kuthupalla's character, actually had a little bit more gump than compared to Leonard, Howard, and Sheldon, as far as standing on what he believes in and who he is as a person and as a man. Because he's like, it seemed like obviously the arranged marriages were much more transactional, and he was just like, nah, I'm more of a romantic. Because I remember his character, the woman he was going to marry, her character, she said she didn't like music, and he was just like, How do you not like music? Especially given the fact that Rajes's character was a little bit more feminine, which is nothing wrong with that, but that's just what it is. But yeah, just like, so he's like, yeah, I'm not going to marry somebody or be in a relationship with somebody who doesn't believe in love and romance, things of that nature. And they had to work on that. It took him a while to get there, but he stood on those principles. So that's one of the most adult things / manly things anybody can do, is just stand on who they truly are and not pretend to be something that they're not. So that's all I can say about that. But moral of the story is, a lot of women, like I said, I'm going to do, might even do this tomorrow, but definitely if not tomorrow, I'll do it when I get back from my trip. A lot of women settle for nerdy guys, not because they're attracted to them, it's because they want the security financially. They want to be able to say jump. They want to be with a guy that doesn't have options. Let's just put it like that. But my mindset is always going to be this: if a man or woman wants to cheat on you, they're going to do it. You can't stop them, because don't even get me started with those relationships, people all up in people's business to the point where they, that they're always constantly watching their significant other and what they're doing because they're so worried about them cheating on them. I'm like, you so worried about somebody cheating on you, leave them. Life is too short. This is what we're really going to do. I'm asking that question. But anyways, that's how I look at it. I think, in my mindset, you should never settle. Refuse to settle. Refuse to settle. Refuse to settle when it comes to the relationships you're in. Refuse to settle when it comes to the job that you're at. Refuse to settle when it comes to the kind of business that you're trying to start. Refuse to settle in the kind of town and city that you live in. Refuse to settle. Build that lifestyle that you want. Be around people that you want to be around. Make moves. Make moves, do things, take the class, take the trip. Stop being around basic minds. And then I remember one person asked me the question, so how do you curtail this? Because I remember it was like months ago, I did a thing about the growing nerdy guy population. With all this technology, you can't stop that. I mean, it's every generation is different. You got to keep it real on that one. Not every generation is going to be the same, remain the same. That's one thing that we all have to take into consideration, but it's a different time and a different generation. You don't have as many quote unquote. I think you have more masculine men that are immigrating to the United States of America than you have being produced in the United States of America. And just the reason behind that is just because of cultural differences, number one. But just number two, it's like you got a generation of people that are used to being on their phones 24 hours a day, or for most of the day. I won't say 24 hours, but most of the day. First thing that they look at when they get up, last thing to look at when they go to sleep. And you have a growing culture of more gamers. Nothing wrong with people being gamers. People, growing culture, people in the comic books. Nothing wrong with people being in the comic books. But because I've seen tough guys who are gamers, who beat the crap out of somebody. I've seen tough guys who are in the comic books and things like that. Heck, one of my friends who's a bodybuilder is a big in the comic books, But my personal opinion, I'm not going to act like I'm a psychiatrist, but my personal opinion is when people are too involved in alternate reality and they're always running away from reality, a lot of times that can weaken a person on how they can actually deal with reality. It's like a spoiled child when they come into the real world and the real world says, hey, we don't care about your feelings. Forget your feelings. I would say the other word, but I'm going to keep it nice and clean. And then that child doesn't know how to react so they become an adult to the world not caring about who they are. And unfortunate acts may happen, fights, shootings, Lord forbid. But a lot of times people can't handle the real world because they're spending too much time living in the false world, a fairy tale world, or they're being spoiled to death. Case in point, back to Sheldon Cooper's character from The Big Bang Theory. He would lose his stuff whenever he was challenged by another smart intellectual child. He would lose his mind when he was always threatened by somebody more smarter than him, because his intelligence is all he had to go off of. That was his only strength in his life. So he was always intimidated by that. And because, his mother spoiled the heck out of him from letting him basically, for the most part, do whatever he wanted. Every now and then she would stand up to him, but for the most part, she let him do whatever he wanted. So he was used to being a brat and getting his way. And then and like I said, the majority of the time he was confronted by strangers who would put him in his place, that's when he would get some act right in him. As a child and as an adult. I remember as a child, when he was in the hospital acting like a brat, the nurse put him in his place and he got some act right in him. Meaning he was like, yes, ma'am, I'm sorry, my bad. And then as an adult, when he got smart with a judge, because he had to go to traffic court to pay a ticket, he insulted the judge, and the judge was like, okay, I'm gonna lock you. He's like, if you don't apologize, I'm gonna lock you up. He said, I'm a scientist, I never apologize. And then boom, he went to jail. And then when he's like, he had to use the bathroom, he had to use the toilet in the nasty toilet in the jail cell, and he was like, I'm ready to apologize to the judge now. He got some act right in. The real world doesn't care about you. Eventually, things catch up with you. So if you're in the position where you want to settle because you want to be with a guy that doesn't have options and that jumps whenever you say jumps, go for it. Like I said, it's a different world. I get it. That's what a lot of women eventually become attracted to, a beta male simp, and that's cool. There's nothing wrong with that. The guy that talks like this and like, whatever you say there, and the fact that I'm with you is the biggest blessing on the planet, and I can never see myself without anybody else. If that's what you're looking for, go for it. I'm not mad at it. Alpha male energy, some women can't handle being around. It is what it is. A guy that has his own opinion is going to stand on who he is. A lot of women can't handle being with a man like that anymore in today's world. And I get that. I respect that. It is what it is. And there's always the guy that's in the middle, But hey, some females want to be with a man that they can walk all over. Some men want to be with a woman that they can walk all over. I've seen it a bunch of times. I think there's always supposed to be equal power dynamics and exchange of how things get done or whatnot, but everybody's different. So I'm not trying to tell people how to live, what to do. All I'm saying is, not only has this become the norm for a lot of people, but it's just I've just noticed that more and more. And I'm not mad at it. Stand on who you are. It's your lifestyle. As long as nobody's getting killed, raped, molested, whatever the case may be, do what you do. All right. So that's all I have, because at the end of the day, this was an interesting rant. And I can see this subject matter coming up more and more. Definitely want to have, if I could, have like 2 people on to talk about this subject matter in the future again, because I just see it manifesting itself into something bigger and bigger on a regular basis. But you never know. I could be wrong. I'm not going to act like I know everything. So I just leave it at that. But on that note, family, do the great day for you things. Like, share, and subscribe. Have a great day. As I always say, make money moves. Are you going to live like a fool? If you're a stock market investor, crypto investor, individual retirement account investor, don't forget to check out WEBULL, Stash, AcornsCrypto.com, Coinbase, all those platforms you'll be able to make some money moves. And hopefully you don't live broke like a fool. On that note, I'm out. Take care. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Larry's Anything Goes. Hopefully you're having a great day. If you've been watching Larry's Anything Goes programming, you know that we are not only providing great financial intelligence content as much as possible by interviewing other financial professionals, professionals in the travel industry, real estate industry, etc., and so forth, but we provide various services when it comes to specific products that we sell, from anything that you would actually find on Amazon or actually at Walmart, etc., and so forth. And we are actually providing specific products due to today's current crisis and whatnot, to ensure that we provide the right services and products that you need at a reasonable price when it comes to medical face masks, when it comes to hand sanitizer, and when it comes to latex gloves and things of that nature, and etc. and so forth, toilet paper, paper towels. But we have what you need. Also, family, don't forget that Larry's Anything Goes is a part of an affiliate marketing network known as Gold Standard Partners, where you have the opportunity to buy cryptocurrency and allow others to invest with you as becoming an affiliate marketing partner. And obviously, if they purchase a package with the program, you're able to make money off their package purchases and make money off of their crypto purchases and things of that nature. If you want to join, please follow the links in the description, and I'll give you a call as soon as you sign up and purchase a package, and we'll go from there. But definitely, it's all about the best way to make money moves is to have currency with one another and to ensure that currency is always being spoken of on all levels, so it benefits everyone and not just one specific person. That's a lot of things that people forget about. So think about joining the program, and we'll be able to go from there. But if not, either way, it's always appreciated. And thank you for watching. And hopefully you guys have a great day and continuously make money moves so you don't live broke like a fool. Take care. As you can see, with our various products, we have our financial apparel, as you see, wearing There's Anything Goes t-shirt, financial intelligence is sexy, face masks, latex gloves, things of that nature, to obviously ensure the safety of you and your family all at the same time. We want to ensure that you get the best products and see the actual products that we're actually providing for you, and giving you another view of not only the shirts and the medical masks, but actually another view of actual latex gloves and the actual hand sanitizer. Because one thing we've learned throughout this unfortunate crisis is that we have to take more precautionary measures to ensure not only the safety for ourselves, but for our families. And having a great pair of hand sanitizers, latex gloves, and medical face masks will ensure that safety. And with all that being said, hopefully you guys will check out our online store. We have the various products that you see here. With a couple of clicks, especially if you're paying via PayPal, it makes life that much easier for you to purchase our various products, especially during this unfortunate situation. You see the apparel from Larry's Anything Goes. We have the medical products when it comes to hand sanitizer, latex gloves, medical face masks, and things of that nature, and various other products. So please check out Larry's Anything Goes. Support small local businesses. We greatly appreciate it, and hopefully that you have a good day.
Don't hate the player, hate the game. Mike, now.